you've been working in Hollywood in the industry for how long?
As a stripper
Perfect.
That'd be a cool backstory.
Right? No, I started, oddly enough, I started out doing stand-up comedy.
Okay.
So I started that, I want to say, I'm 38 now, so I started that when I was about 27.
Okay. What was your go-to in stand-up comedy?
Oh, I'm not going to, what do you mean go-to?
What type of humor did you do?
I mean, I didn't get it. I wasn't in it long enough to have a one style, but typically storytelling.
Okay.
So it was very much more so here's the story of what went down and here's some things that happened within it.
Well, that's perfect for being a director then.
Oh, very, very much so. I did that for like 2 years.
Were you relatively successful at it by your own estimation?
Well, I mean, look at it this way. There's guys on the Mothership, Joe Rogan's podcast, and Brian, what's his name? And these people like brung me up on my first ever open mics and were like, yo, why didn't you cause I came late. They're like, you should have came in the beginning. I killed the room. But that's not how comedy stand-up works. It takes like years, man. So based on the question you're saying, I did well, but I didn't love it. It didn't give me nothing. It gave me nothing. It just, I can be good at anything I do because I try to be good at everything I do. So, but it didn't give me anything. That's why I moved into videography, because the whole goal was to get into Hollywood, making films and all that, and I was just using different angles to get in. So I started doing videography for like Chris Brown's choreographers and Usher choreographers, and then from there I moved back to LA because I'm from LA, but I was living in San Diego at the time, and went back to LA. And when I went there, I started doing background acting. As a way to get into Hollywood.
So you're going to be the one they're going to use AI to create CGI for now and just screw you out of your paychecks.
That was like 7 years ago. But yeah, I did background acting, and after I did that so that I can learn what's going on, because I know I don't come from a rich family or I come from South Central LA, and I knew most things I was going to have to do on my own. Learn to edit, learn camera, learn lighting, 3-point hair light, learn everything, because I didn't have the connections for people to do it or money to pay people to do it. So I did all that, and after I made a couple of short films, I became a production assistant in Hollywood, and that's currently what I do now. But in the meantime of that, making short films on the side, I actually got a short film that I just submitted to Sundance with Taran Manning.
Yep.
And I should know by this month if it got accepted, which it should. But that's what I'm doing. The goal is to do that. But then COVID came and did what 2020 did, which made me start using Instagram a lot, because I wasn't really using it. And once that happened, I started talking about the Black Lives Matter stuff and the rioting and the COVID. I'm talking everything, and my following just started blowing up until I got like super shadow banned. Crazy shadow ban.
Yeah.
Dumb, crazy. Like I was about to lose my account like 57
Instagram will
times.
do that to you.
Oh my God.
I think when I looked up your name this time to double check everything, I had to type out the full name, which is usually a sign that you're shadow banned. If like you type in director and then the first letter and it doesn't come up, especially with a larger following, that means you're probably pretty
Typically
shadow
it comes up within the first couple of letters. People typically find it, but I recently just got a message on Instagram like a couple of days ago saying I'm demonetized on Reels. I'm like, you haven't been monetizing Reels forever.
Yeah.
Like, wait, does that mean like people can't do the thing where they because you can do the thing on Reels where they tip you, like people can tip you, like they'll always facilitate a way for you for somebody else to pay you. They just don't want to pay you themselves.
Yeah, well, you still get that, but with that, I started doing that, and then I started doing. I think one of the big things was I did a Michael Myers mask and walked through during COVID, and securities follow me like, you can't wear that mask. I'm like, but you said I got to wear a mask. It's on the front of your store. So that blew different things. And I guess it made me like and I hate the word. I think we all hate the influencer word, because it seems like you're trying. I wasn't trying. I was just talking and frustrated.
Yep.
That blew up to wind up getting wind with Gina Carano with everything that's going on with her, talking to different people with like Dallas and Bonfire Legend and different things, and meeting different people. And then that led me to making some ill short films during the pandemic, during when it was shut down. Like I had everybody coming unvaccinated, no mask, making short films when they were telling us not to, and we was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And we even had big like conservative film industry. Now mind you, when I say conservative, I'm politically conservative, but in life, like I'm not all the way. I'm like right after middle. This is middle. This is right. I'm like right here.
Right there.
You know what I mean? I'm not crazy over there, but I just started doing these mixers, me and my friend, and had all these people in the film industry that's on our side come to these mixers that were like secret because the police found out. They were like, you're a super spreader. And this is in LA. In case you don't, LA and New York was the strictest, craziest.
They were like doing police raids on parties.
Yes, we were out there undercoverly doing it. And when Gina Carano got canceled with everything, we started doing it, calling it the rebellion. Yeah. And that's how we kept doing it. And Gina found out, she reposted, started saying things, and then people just started kind of coming together with things. And that's kind of where I got to. That's how I met Samira through that, and so many other people. But right now, essentially, when the strike is over, I'm like, I just want to go back and make some money normally. Yeah. But also too, I want to still make films with my people, not just my people, with everyone, but just know that if I'm running it, you know that you're not getting canceled simply because you support Black Lives Matter. Oh, you support Black Lives Matter? That's cool. Are you trying to do anything to hinder us? No. Are you having an issue with us? No. Let's work. It's business. Let's work. Okay, you support Trump? Cool. I do too. Come in. Let's work. You're going to know if I'm involved in it, no one's getting their livelihood hindered because of their political affiliation or things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Scary that type of open-minded approach is so rare these days. It shouldn't be that rare, but it is. What was the response from Hollywood, like the mainstream Hollywood, when you started really, really speaking out? Did you get a lot of messages of people basically on the down low saying, I can't say this, but I support what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got down low ones, and then you have the ones that, you know, they'll kind of like slide in, follow you real quick, and you don't even realize it until you just be looking, you know, some days
they like your post and unlike it.
Wait, does that happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For me.
But wait, so why do they unlike it? So that people can't see that they liked it?
Well, for me, what it wasn't the like, it was the comment, then remove the comment.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they remove the comment? Just because they didn't want to get seen by the people?
A lot of people don't have a spine. That's why.
But
okay. Did you feel a particular pressure before you started becoming more outspoken in 2020? Like you couldn't speak your real views? Or was it just like a pressure point when it was the lockdowns and, you know, the summer of love and all of these things that made you feel like you needed to speak out about those things?
Well, no. So initially, before 2020, I let everyone that I work with know that I voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. Whatever set I'm on, I used to tell, oh yeah, they'd be like, you voted for Trump? I'm like, yeah. They were like, oh, no one tried to cancel me, or they'll probably be like, why? And then move on. Like no one gave a damn really. But then when 2020 came, it just, the whole Floyd thing is what started the whole blah, blah, blah craziness. And the thing is that in 2020, after 2020, that realm, you literally will get fired in Hollywood. If you, let's say I had a Trump case on my phone and I was working on set and I left my phone in the trailer or whatever. And
whose phone is this?
Yeah. And they find out it's mine. I won't be asked back to work the next day.
That's insane.
Like this is not even, this is a fact.
It's funny because even before 2020, people put on a public front like they cared about that, like they were scandalized by someone voting for Trump. But you're telling us now that behind the scenes, no one cared. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. Well, before 2020,
yeah,
but then it kind of broke people's brains. That series of events with the lockdowns, with George Floyd, then J6 and the vaccine mandates. That series of events really shook some people. Yeah. And they weren't the same after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, it to be honest, even before the J6 thing, it was so crazy in Hollywood. Just like the vaccine thing was ridiculous. ridiculous. The last people to let go and drop the whole COVID stuff was literal Hollywood studios.
It was a racket. There was too much money to be made with testing, too much money to be made with.
Well, it went like it teetered. At first it was money being made, and then it started being money lost because you got to keep paying for all this stuff. You got to pay for tests, pay for COVID compliance officers, pay for this.
But the companies that were probably pushing for it to continue, there's too much money to be made with tests, selling testing kits, and then they have to have that. What was the story we talked about with the lady who wasn't liked on set because she was a COVID tester?
Yeah, she was a production assistant whose sole responsibility was swabbing people's noses for COVID.
And she's like, people didn't like me,
and she felt disrespected. By
they're terrible. We hate. I can't stand them people. The COVID. Why
would anyone like them?
All the COVID compliance people on set, because they're annoying as heck. If you haven't been, they will. If you're mad, mind you, I didn't work for almost 2 years because I said I'm not getting vaccinated because I'm not vaccinated, and I said I wasn't going to wear a mask on set, and I turned down plenty of jobs because I'm a production assistant on set, but I'm not just like some random one. I'm like they hey, we want to put the team together, get this guy for sure. And when you're on set, you don't wear your mask. If your mask is like this, put your mask up. Wait, they'll like chase you down.
Yeah. I remember the Tom Cruise meltdown because he was like, he had the meltdown because the guys didn't have their masks up. But it's because he was also the producer on the movie. He's like, look, we're risking getting shut down and losing. And it ended up costing them, too, because Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning cost like $350 million to make because of all the extensions because of COVID and stuff like that. It just added on to the budget like that. So
the actors didn't even. Here's the crazy part. Two things. One, let's be clear. Majority of these actors did not get vaccinated. They're all bullshit. They didn't get vaccinated. That's one. The other thing the other thing in Hollywood, they have majority of the actors have fake vax cards. Mm-hmm. Fake vax cards. Fake vax cards, right? That's one. Two, on set, the actors almost never wore a mask. They made everyone wear it, and they were just walking around having conversations.
All the crew, the peons. All the
peasants.
Just like all the people at the Met Gala, all the people with the masks on that were carrying people's the back of somebody's dress.
Yeah, I'm watching big name actors just hanging out, not wearing, but then they'll get mad. I'll tell you this, I ain't gonna say who, but on one show, an actor, we were talking, and she was saying she's doing comedy, and I said something about Joe Rogan. I was like, oh yeah, like this one guy, he was on Joe Rogan. She goes, you watched Joe Rogan? She said it loud. All the actors, everybody looked, and she was like, he's misogynistic, this and that. And I was like, and everyone's looking like, and I'm like, and I just literally did the Homer Simpson art. And literally did that, walked backwards and dipped off.
Joe Rogan, I consider Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, and Jordan Peterson to be litmus tests for how mentally nuts somebody actually is. If they have like if you can look at somebody like Joe Rogan and have like an absolute meltdown, or a Jordan Peterson have an absolute meltdown, you might be too far gone to be. It's just they're too. Like, I don't look at a guy who tells you to make your bed and have a meltdown.
Can you tell us what her name rhymes with?
I'll tell you this.
Let us guess.
I'll tell you this because I don't care. It was on that show, Sex Lives of College Girls.
Okay, makes sense.
It was one of the key actors of that show.
It's funny. I saw a backlash to that show because the love interests of the diverse female cast are usually white men. They were like, a lot of the woke fans of that show were mad about the fact that their love interests were white men.
The woke fans is hilarious.
I saw that discourse online. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's funny though. Here's the craziest part. It was a good show to work on. If it wasn't for that part, it's a good show to work on. The people are cool. Here's the crazy part is that a lot of Hollywood actors are cool, really cool on the surface. Mm-hmm. The surface is a mother, because it's not who they are. You know who someone is when they disagree, when you disagree on something. How they respond tells you who they are. What's the saying? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Or tells you who they are, believe them. That's the thing about actors. Their thing is to make look, but then once they don't like what you say or do, they'll get you fired like that.
Did you lose friends from
I lost
becoming...
friends, family. I've had people, you know how many coons and N-words I was called in my DMs from black and white people? Wow. Black and white people. I had friends hit me. What do you do? I had people stop following me saying there's no love here. There's business people with like big names. Their people said, nah, we ain't messing with them. We not rocking with them. Lost like so many. I've had beef with, not beef, but crazy arguments with close aunties that's like a mother to me. Had terrible, to the point it's like, yo, all because of my stance. I'm like, yo, I have friends that are liberal that I'm like, I don't care. We cool. Let's go get a hamburger. But the other way around, it doesn't come back that way, except for a few. There's a few, but yeah, it was rough.
I wonder if Renee Rapp is related to Leanne Rapp. Pauline Chalamet is Timothy Chalamet's sister. I did not know that. Oh. I suppose that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. She because she's on that show.
Yeah. I was just looking at the cast right now, trying to think of who I
take a gamble.
I don't know. I mean, there's enough names on here that I feel like any asking him to rhyme them would give away who it is. But yeah, so it's
Shanae Schnapp.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just very cool because like when I was watching your videos in 2020, it was very cool to see somebody who was outspoken within the industry, because the image I've always had, and I've learned a lot more since, and I've gotten to interact with a lot more people in the industry now since starting this podcast, but was that, you know, it's a culture of fear. It's a culture of preventing people from speaking out through fear of loss of future work, fear of ostracization, all of these things, which is not something I was ever interested in, especially not as somebody who is very libertarian in most of his beliefs. Like I've always find funniest about it is, like, to me, I always said, like, being a little bit narcissistic isn't a bad thing, because if somebody's more focused on themselves, they're not going to be as worried about you. Like, well, if you're focused on you, like, why would I care? If I'm focused on me, why would I care about what the hell your political views are? Especially at a job where you're only going to meet somebody in passing, right? But it seems like Hollywood actually produces the worst narcissists who actually care about what you do and who you vote for and what your beliefs are, which is actually maybe the scariest thing on earth, to imagine somebody who's both self-involved and wants to control how you yourself behave.
Well, they don't. That's the thing, is they don't care. They care about their bottom line. The dollar, their bottom line. 9 times out of 10, if you think about who is actually going to theaters or buying movie tickets, concert tickets, and all this, is not the wealthy amongst us. It's the people that really can't afford it, because that's their way out of. That's how I fell in love with movies, because that's my way out of the hood. Crazy gunshots flying everywhere. When I go and watch that 2-hour movie away from all that and see the nice theater, it got me away from that. Those are people's bottom line people. So they got to cater to those people. Those are the people that's buying the tickets, buying the merch, buying the stuff, not the wealthy minded people.
That's why the woke stuff is so weird, because the average person doesn't see the world that way. If they made more movies like a Top Gun, they would get more people to come back to the theater. But the stuff that they push now is anti the everyday person.
Well, the stuff they push now, at the end of the day, they use all these different ways to cover up the truth. End of the day, the only reason woke or any of that stuff exists or works right now is because that's their way of saying, I'm not a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, no matter what people want to believe, woke, LGBTQ, this, that, whatever the new thing to be outraged about, or whatever, those people, their whole thing is saying, hey, look at me, I am not a Trump supporter. That's the only reason they were against people that didn't get vaccinated, because they were like, if you didn't get vaccinated, that means you're a Trump supporter. If I don't show that I hate that you're not vaccinated, that means it looks like I'm a Trump supporter, which I am not, which I am behind closed doors.
I would like to point out how funny that is, considering Trump was one of the biggest supporters of the vaccine.
I mean, it's literally his vaccine.
Yes, but none of it makes any sense.
That tells you right there. Yep. You hated the vaccine idea when Trump pushed it, but the minute he was gone and your people pushed it, now you love it, and it was the same thing. Yep. It tells you right there. But at the end of the day, everything right now, like, people probably don't want to see it this way, but it is what it is. Everything right now is about being a Trump supporter or not.
Yeah.
Because you got to look at what they liken it to. It's indicative of quote unquote white supremacy, even though it's not. But they liken it to if you're a Trump supporter, that means you're a white supremacist. If you're a white supremacist, I mean, look, it's a whole war on white men in America right now, simply because it's like, how are you doing the thing to them that you said you hated that was done to us, treating us a certain way because of our skin color? Now you flip it and treat them a certain way. But you know why? Because I tell people all the time, I go, the main reason all this stuff is going on is the black community, just to say, doesn't want racism to end. They just want to be the ones to benefit from it. They don't want people to they don't, it's not that they hate men right now or whatever, it's that they want to be the ones to control that too.
Move on. I wanted to get into the short film that you released earlier this year starring Taran Manning, called A Parent. We're not going to be able to show it on here, but it's a group of grieving parents find support in each other after a school shooter takes the lives of their small children. As secrets are uncovered, these parents are forced to deal with hard truths and even harder choices in this heart-wrenching short, sure to pull on heartstrings of parents all over America. So, is that the first time you worked with Taran Manning? Mm-hmm. What was that like?
It was dope. Yeah, we
she was the best actress.
Yeah, I mean, all the actors on there were fire. They were dope. And I wrote that script. I wrote it, directed it, casted it, produced it. But I wrote it for her. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, here's Taran Manning. This is what she does, her type of style of acting I've seen, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, let me write this thing, but in a way that it's more, it caters to a certain style that I see within her, because she's a good actor. And she was cool. She brung that, like, that energy you see on screen. She brung it there too. Like when you see her in person doing these little scenes, like there was people crying, literally, like the crew members crying as we're shooting. We had to like retake because people are having real tears, like at the wrong time. It's like, no, don't cry yet. That's how heavy it was in the room doing these scenes with her, as well as Siaka, the other lead, the black guy. Yep. Siaka.
I remember his story came out. Yeah, Prager, like
mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago. He had a fantastic story of coming out during the lockdowns and everything like that, mm-hmm. and finally speaking up.
Yeah, he was great, and the whole thing was great. I think with her, because she's obviously, there's things going on in her public life.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up. Is
I want her to come on our show. That's what I want. That would be awesome.
She posted your short film only days after she was in all of these TMZ headlines for, first of all, the video where she was talking about tossing someone's salad, and then
that
also
can happen to anyone.
Singing along to Oliver Anthony's song "Rich Men North of Richmond." And also defending Danny Masterson after his conviction. And I was imagining, like, this guy must be like the one who directed this short film must be thinking, like, great timing for all this. I mean, don't comment on anything you don't want to comment on, but I mean, what were your reactions to that?
No, I've talked. We've
her
talked.
comment section must have not been a very friendly place at the time that she reposted that.
Well, no, me and her personally have talked about it, and like, yeah, she's smart. Like, she understands, like, that when I said, I was like, this is like just perfect timing, like sarcastically, right? But even her, she understands that, but at the same time too, it wasn't like it was going to hurt anything, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the way the film is shot, it shines light on her skill as an actor, and the other actors, their skill as actors portraying these things, right? Which means that no matter what's going on outside, when you watch the film, you're not thinking of, oh, that's Taran that just did the video about that.
I mean, I'll admit, I was thinking about that a little bit, but
it's a little bit different, but we're also more like connected to all this than the average person would be, right?
But it aligns with your values of, like, I'm not going to blacklist anybody, I'm not going to cancel anybody for what they're doing on their personal.
Exactly. I mean, because within that same week that you're speaking of, she brung up because she just did what I was telling him, you should watch the Whitney Cummings podcast. She just did, Whitney Cummings, the comedian?
Yeah.
So she just did her podcast like They just posted it like yesterday.
Okay.
So she talks about this in that podcast.
I'll look at that.
It's a hilarious, great podcast. But she talks about all this stuff and she explains it there. But for me with that, it wasn't that. It was just like, yo, I know she's talking about her things, whatever. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's her, hey, that's her life. That's she grown woman, do her thing. We still rocking. Like, unless you do something that is like directly like bad or towards me in a certain way, I'd be like, yo, I don't ever want to have no part to do with this or you. I forget, what was the question?
Well, I was just wondering if you were gonna enlighten us about like your reaction to that and the timing of it all.
Well, right away I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm trying to get this in the film festival. But at the same time too, it was more so it wasn't going to affect me, and also too, she like, again, she talks about it on Whitney Cummings' podcast where she goes into detail, and I just thought, for me personally, I was just like, I'm be honest with you, I thought it was funny because I was like this is funny. I didn't even realize I didn't even think it was that big, to be honest, until everybody kept DMing me and texting. I'm waking up to texts from friends that don't even, I was like, where are you sending me articles and different things? I was like, yo, I didn't even know. I was like, and I thought it was just funny. I didn't know it was gonna be this thing.
Yeah.
I don't even think she thought it was gonna be this thing. Like, it just happened, and I don't know what. It was weird though. I will say this though. I will say this. For me, I was like, what are the odds of once I make a film that of all the years and days this could have went? What were the odds? But here's the thing about her. She is a genuinely nice, good person. And she's just tired of Hollywood trying to control you with everything. She's over that. Like, you don't control her, control me, yada yada. Same as Samira. Samira's like, yo, you don't control me. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to think you could tell me who to be, what to say, how to act. Whether I act this way or that way is my choice, not Hollywood's choice. Whether I support Trump or not. Because in the same week she came out saying she supported Trump. So within a day of each other. So it's like, she's just like, yo, I'm going to do me. And I understood it because I was talking to her before, so I already understood that she just in the place of, yo, I'm doing me. You don't control me. No, I'm doing me. So I can't do nothing but respect someone that takes a stand that goes, yo, Hollywood, you're not going to control me.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.